Hello and welcome back to Football Daily, where today we're following up on our 11 of the best signings of the season with the worst acquisitions. Let's go. Goalkeeper, Roberto. A backup keeper hardly seems a make or break signing for a Premier League side, but when your first choice stopper gets injured just a month into the season, it rapidly becomes clear you've bought a dud. West Ham paid nothing for Roberto in the summer of 2019, but somehow still got shafted, handing a 2-year contract to a 33-year-old who seemed unable to catch in his 8 league appearances. The Spaniard came into the side after Lucas Fabianski was sidelined with a hip problem and in just 686 minutes on the field conceded 17 goals. Roughly 30% of the shots on target he faced ended up in the back of the net, and of a possible 24 points the Irons could have taken with the veteran keeper between the sticks, they ended up with just 2. That's despite facing Crystal Palace twice, Newcastle, Bournemouth and Burnley in that time. Though Roberto has played just 26% of the available minutes this season, he's let in 34% of all of West Ham's goals, contributing to their spot in 16th, only above the relegation zone on goal difference. Unlikely ever to feature for the team again, Roberto was farmed out to Spanish club Alaves in January 2020. Let's hope he at least netted the Hammers a loan fee. Defender, Valentino Lazaro. Our first stop in Milan, don't worry, there'll be more, is for Valentino Lazaro, who moved to Inter from Hertha Berlin in 2019. Named by the Bundesliga's website as the most talented Austrian since David Alaba, the wide man who can play as a winger, wingback or fullback cost the Nerazzurri over £20 million after 9 goal involvements for Hertha in 2018-19, and was expected to fit nicely into Antonio Conte's preferred 3 at the back system. But the Italian coach's decisions are often mysterious, and he handed Lazaro only 3 league starts and a further 3 sub-appearances before deciding the 24-year-old wasn't for him. In his time on the field, Lazaro did grab an assist, but his defensive numbers dropped from 3 tackles and interceptions a game to 2, and Conte benched him for 33-year-old Antonio Candreva before a highly publicised pursuit of Man United's Ashley Young. Once the veteran Englishman's signature was secured, Conte wasted no time in dispensing of Lazaro, sending him out on loan to Newcastle United after just 300 minutes in a blue and black shirt. Rejected by a world-class coach, replaced by Ashley Young, and dumped into a relegation battle, it's been 6 months from hell for Lazaro. Let's see if he can rise from the dead. Before we move on to our next bad signing, just a quick reminder to please subscribe to Football Daily if you haven't already, and of course, hit that notification bell so you never miss another FD video. It really means a lot. We could really do with the support right now. Anyway, let's get on with it. Defender, David Luiz. It's hard to work out what Arsenal hoped they were getting when they handed Chelsea £8 million for David Luiz in the summer of 2019. The Brazilian, already 32 at that point, had missed just 2 games for Chelsea the previous season under Maurizio Sarri, but had recorded the lowest tackle and interception numbers of his career, winning possession only 2.1 times a game compared to 4.2 in his best year at Stamford Bridge. And his figures have actually got slightly worse at the Emirates, despite the constant traffic he faces behind the Gunners' porous midfield, while he now wins barely half of his aerial duels as well. However, most worrying is his tendency to switch off his brain, as though 1 foul a game is roughly his average since 2010, 3 of his 22 fouls in the Prem this year have given away penalties. For context, that's as many as Rio Ferdinand conceded in the whole of his career in the English top flight. The appointment of Mikel Arteta has at least seen Arsenal start to make use of the defender's excellent passing range, but at 33 and with another year on his contract, the club are unlikely to be able to move him on anytime soon. Defender, Nico Schulz. At close to £23 million, Nico Schulz joined Borussia Dortmund in 2019 as the 6th most expensive player in their history, and the Bundesliga's 5th costliest player of the summer, arriving from Hoffenheim with the expectation that Rafael Guerreiro was on his way to PSG. But as it turned out, the left-back not only stayed, but once again made himself indispensable to the Schwarzgelben, racking up 5 goals and 2 assists in 20 league appearances. That's seen Schulz limited to just 564 minutes, and in that time he has just 1 goal involvement, a serious problem given that it was his creativity which enticed Dortmund. Last year at Hoffenheim, the German made 2 key passes a match, and that's fallen to just 0.3 this campaign, fewer than centre-back Dan Axel Zagadou. As a consequence, his XG per 90 has gone from 0.5, truly obscene for a fullback, even one taking set pieces, to just 0.07. Defensively, he's a step behind too, making fewer tackles and interceptions than Guerrero, and getting beaten on the dribble 31% of the time to his rivals' 18%. And it's not like he's one for the future at 27, 8 months older than the Portuguese. In a year where Dortmund's rivals all took steps forward, a big outlay on Schulz feels like a wasted opportunity. Midfielder, Rodri. The most expensive Premier League signing of last summer at £63 million, Rodri makes R11 instead of João Cancelo, who despite under 800 league minutes has at least been productive when he's played. Rodri meanwhile has been a significant downgrade on last season's 33-year-old Fernandinho in the centre of the park, with the result that City have conceded more goals after 28 games this year than they did in the whole of the previous 2 campaigns. Rodri's numbers have hardly been poor, but his erratic defensive positioning has clearly made the team shakier. He wins the ball just 2.8 times a match to the 4 Fernandinho managed in 2018-19, as well as fouling more and getting carded more. His fouls also come closer to his own goal, and his passing hasn't been good enough to make up for it. Though he hits twice as many long balls as the Brazilian, he is arguably less effective. Last season, Fernandinho passed the ball into the final third 9.6 times a game, the second best in the league to Alexander Zinchenko. Rodri is at 8.3 this year, which would be very impressive were it not for the fact that despite playing most of the season at centre-back, Fernandinho moves the ball into the danger zone just as often as the Spaniard does. Though Rodri is young and will come good, City shelled out a club record to get worse right now, and have paid doubly for their mistake by giving up a 3rd successive title. Midfielder, Marcos Llorente. At the beginning of the season, we argued that Marcos Llorente was a gamble for Atletico Madrid, given his high price and limited game time over the last few years, and after 9 months, we're claiming victory. The Spaniard cost the Rocky Blancos £27 million, the 9th highest fee in their 117-year history, but sits 17th in the squad for minutes played after 27 game weeks, featuring less than a crocked Diego Costa and widely reviled Thomas Lemar. Atleti fans might argue that the price was worth it, after Llorente's brace from the bench in the Champions League round of 16 helped his club knock out Liverpool, but in domestic play, he's failed to shine. Primarily a holding player, he makes fewer tackles and interceptions per 90 than Saul, Thomas Partey or Hector Herrera, and he rarely gets on the ball either, passing only 38 times a game, ranking him 54th of the 78 central midfielders to have appeared in La Liga in 2019-20. Llorente's only hope of promotion to the first team is for Partey to leave in the summer, but the Ghanaian will be such a tough act to follow that it could make matters even worse for the 25-year-old. Let's hope that Simeone can perform some more magic on his misfiring midfielder. Midfielder, Kerem Demirbay. Perhaps the harshest entry in our team, Kerem Demirbay was meant to be the creative heart of Peter Bosch's Bayer Leverkusen this year, but has been put in the shade by Die Werkself's roster of talented attackers. At £29 million, the 26-year-old midfielder is the club's record signing, almost double the cost of the second most expensive, and went to Leverkusen on the back of a 3-year spell at Hoffenheim in which he averaged a goal or an assist every 175 minutes. This campaign, it's dropped to 1 every 373 minutes, and it's not like Demirbay is lacking support. Leverkusen have an incredible 6 players with over 0.6 expected goals per 90 this season, the same as Man City, and 9 people at the club have matched or exceeded Demirbay's tally of 3 goal contributions, including defender Lars Bender. More worryingly, 23 of the 32 chances Demirbay has created come from set pieces, and his defensive work has dropped marginally too, making him a passenger in open play that Bosch's gung-ho system can ill afford. At 26, there's time for the German international to improve, but with Kai Havertz linked with a move away, Demirbay will have to find form as quickly as possible if he's to fill the hole left by the youngster. Midfielder, Matteo Politano. If a club doesn't have a clear recruitment strategy, bringing in a new coach can see half the squad become obsolete. And so it proved for Matteo Politano when Antonio Conte arrived at Inter Milan. After a moderately successful loan in 18-19 in which he contributed 11 league goals, Inter signed the 26-year-old permanently for £19 million in the summer. But 6 months later, and the Italian was holding a Napoli shirt, spending an initial 18 months with the partner pay before the deal is completed for £17 million in 2021. That means that Inter are waiting 2 years just to lose £2 million, and given that Politano had played just 314 minutes in Serie A in the Champions League for Inter this season, each minute he appeared for the Nerazzurri cost the club £6,000. And that's not all it cost them, with the Italian failing to score or assist during his time on the field, his sole notable action being a yellow card in a draw with Slavia Prague, which ultimately saw Inter crash out of Europe at the group stage. According to Transfermarkt, this season has taken Politano's market value from £27 million to just £20 million, and he now finds himself part of a Napoli side looking downwards rather than up. With more signings like this, the mid-table could be calling. Forward, Eden Hazard. Intended as the Galacticos signing Real Madrid didn't make when Ronaldo left, Eden Hazard arrived in Spain after years of will he won't he, with a £90 million price tag and a stellar reputation. The Belgian's final year in England was by far his best, with 31 goal involvements in the league, topping his previous best by 8, while he also led the Prem in dribbles completed per game with over 4. That's risen to nearly 5 at the Bernabeu, but it's the only number which has improved. Hazard arrived at his dream club 5 kilograms overweight and has since missed 36 games to injury, making just 8 league appearances to date. In that time, he scored 1 and assisted 1, while his expected goals per 90 have more than halved, from an outstanding 0.73 last year to just 0.35 this season, roughly level with right-back Alvaro Odriozola. Even the out-of-favour Gareth Bale and Isco have played more minutes than the ex-Chelsea man this season, and at 29, his pace is likely to diminish soon, making it hard to see how he'll find a long-term spot in the team, especially with Vinicius and Rodrigo both outscoring him this campaign. If rumoured moves for Mbappe and Sancho come to fruition, it could be Hazard and not one of the Brazilians who makes way. Forward, Antoine Griezmann. Much like Eden Hazard, Antoine Griezmann's move to one of Spain's 2 super clubs may have come too late. The Frenchman was linked with Barcelona as early as 2016, but only made the move last summer at 28 years old, costing the Blaugrana £107 million, the 4th highest fee in history, as well as £350,000 a week in wages. Involved in 23 league goals in his final season with Atletico, respectable but his worst campaign with the club, Griezmann has gone from a goal involvement every 139 minutes to one every 178 minutes in Catalonia. Over the last 24 months, his dribble stats have hit a career low, suggesting that his pace is on the wane, but he's also creating fewer chances with Barca and getting fewer shots per game, dropping from 2 key passes per 90 to 1 and 3 shots to 2. In fact, his 0.47 expected goals and assists per match is roughly the same as Liverpool's Trent Alexander-Arnold, a defender who is not playing alongside the greatest footballer of all time. Less than a year after his move, paper talk is already linking Griezmann with switches to Inter or PSG as a make-way in swoops for Neymar or Lautaro Martinez. From World Cup winner to the new Malcolm, it's a steep fall for Griezmann. Forward, Rony Lopez. Beating out Nicola Pepe on the right flank is Rony Lopez, who joined Sevilla from Monaco for a club record £22 million in the summer. Previously linked with a switch back to former club Man City, it was a disappointing outcome for the Portuguese forward, who bagged 15 goals and 5 assists in Ligue 1 as recently as 2017-18, a huge return for a then 22-year-old and suggestive of future greatness. However, 4 goal involvements the following year gave Monchi the chance to pick up the wide man for a song, and he was expected to help fill the hole left by Wissam Ben Yedder, when the Frenchman went the other way from Andalusia to the Principality. Unfortunately, it's been a disaster. Lopez has played 87 league minutes in Spain, taking just 2 shots in that time, and the only players in the Sevilla squad to have less game time than him are 2 youngsters from the academy and Israel forward Munas de Boer, who left for Hoffenheim in January. With no significant injuries this season, Sevilla will hope that Lopez can recover from a poor 2 years next campaign. But at nearly 25, he's running out of time to develop into the top-class player he once promised to become. So those were our worst signings of the season, but what did you make of it? Do you have any other suggestions? Let us know in the comments below and start the discussion. If you enjoyed this video, why not click on screen right now, as I'm sure it's another banger, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to Football Daily, as we could really do with the support right now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.